Join us, MrTruck.com, for truck reviews, trailer reviews, and accessory reviews. It's Ken with MrTruck.com and Dan with MrBigTruck.com, and we're here talking about the old trucks, like what I grew up with in the 70s and beyond. We've got a couple of trucks we want to talk about and some things we would do with them. In the old days, which is the 70s for me, I mean, you know, we didn't have a whole lot of modern stuff, and power windows or any of that, but we did get rid of all those points and condensers you had to replace every couple thousand miles, and we went to the electronic ignition. You know, and it's so much different now. The new trucks, titanium plugs last 100,000 miles. But there's so many things that are nicer about the new ones. They steer better, they ride better. But the old ones were cheap, and you only had a few things to do. I mean, you did replace starters and alternators, but that's how it was. But, you know, the question that Dan was telling me, that is, you know, is it better to take an older truck and restore it and drive it for less money, or to get a new one?
Especially with the market the way it is today. Yeah,
and, you know, the new ones, they're hard to get because the chip storage is kind of coming around, so yeah, that'll help, and used trucks have gone crazy. But that's what I always wondered. I think it's some of those old classics that I had like in high school, like in the 70s. Yeah, I actually like the 70s better than the 80s. And to have one of those all fixed up with nice seats and air conditioner, you know, it costs a lot less than a new truck. And, you know, now with no emissions, I mean, it might be a good alternative. What do you think, Dan?
Plus, you get the cool factor that goes with it. It's like, all right, cookie cutter new truck. Yeah, it's great. It tows a lot. It's kind of nice. But then you get classic, cool truck, but it still does the job.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm going with classic.
That's right. And see, this is, I don't know if that's called a K series, a little bit square. The K series were a little bit different, a little more square than this one was.
Right. That would be the oldest, the body style before this, which for the 3/4 ton, actually I believe for the 1 ton, ended in 1991. This is the first year of the GMT 400 body, but that actually started in 88.
Yeah. So we're getting back there in a time that things were a whole lot different.
Oh,
now
yeah.
This truck here, which engine, what year is this and what engine does it have?
Well, this is actually a 1992 Chevrolet K, which designates 4-wheel drive, 3500, which designates 1 ton, and it has the big block, the Big Mac Daddy.
My favorite engine.
Not the 6.5.
No.
No. The 454.
You betcha. Awesome.
Passes
truck.
everything but a gas station.
Yes, it's awesome. And this one over here, this is a diesel. What year is this and what engine's in it?
Well, this magnificent specimen of a truck is a 1994 Dodge Ram 2500. And it, wait for it, it's gonna be good. It's got the 12-valve Cummins with, and now these trucks they're different, but they're very similar. As this one's, the Chevrolet's got a manual transmission, and that Dodge has got a 4-speed automatic behind it. But, you know, when they're working right, they're both decent options.
Well, that's true. That's true. A lot of people can rebuild these transmissions and make them bulletproof. They weren't that way when they were born, but they are now.
Oh gosh, no. There was a time and point in my life where I would say I wouldn't wish a Chrysler automatic overdrive on my worst enemy. And now they're drag racing with these son of guns.
Well, yeah. See, I've got a great transmission mechanic, Ruben, who fixes all my trannies. He makes them bulletproof. He has another name for it, it's overkill. And it really works well. And we did that to my second generation Ram, that black one that was all lifted and all that. Well, join us for walking around these and talking about these trucks and see how they compare and how they're different, and try to decide whether we should just keep fixing these up and restore them totally, or get that new shiny one. So join us.
All right. Today, right now, we got a star, a YouTube star, real smart fella too.
Don't go away, MrTruck.tv. We'll be right back.
Well, first off, we're going to talk about this 92 Chevrolet, but we need an expert. And you know what? We kind of got one with us. I know. It's strange. But we got you. This is David Morrow. If you haven't seen him, you'll find him on the TFL channels, truck, all sorts of ones. They've come here to his place, the Happy Yak Ranch.
When Tommy calls, I say, come on out.
And this gentleman here, he's he's a very, very talented man. He's very humble about it, but he's very talented. And he has had his hand just about everywhere on this truck. And quite frankly, he's done a beautiful job. And if you'd be willing to take us around this truck and
Sure.
and talk about, you know, what you can do to an old truck to maybe take it from worn out to a really solid daily driver.
Well, as you know, I've been a Chevy guy because my dad, or a GM guy from age, what, 13, because Dad bought an old GMC truck. And then whenever I was driving, he gave it to me and I became a GM. It's amazing how that works, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know, but I had bought brand new after I pretty much ran my old GMC into the ground. I bought brand new a 92.
Okay.
And I've had that one forever, still have it. But I wanted something to, you know, play with in 92, since I know the early 90s Chevy truck. So Case went with me and we bought this way up almost to the Wyoming border.
Wow.
And it was an old farm truck and it was just beat to heck, right? It hadn't been washed in probably 15 years. Who knows when the last maintenance was done on it, but it had been, I did a little research, it had been a farm truck pulling a horse trailer for a lot of years, and then it was gonna be a snowplow truck, so I saved it from the dreaded snowplow. But I turned it into a pretty decent looking truck after a lot of work.
Well, I guess we can start at the front, because
Yeah.
I don't know if they can see this or not, but
That's a shiny new grill right there.
I know, that looks really nice.
Well, luckily, the truck had a great bumper to start with. I think it didn't have many flaws in it, but you know how Chevy grills are. They all flake off after a while. And so this one had flaked all off, so I bought a new grill with nice chrome and new headlights, new marker lights. I think I reused these lights right here. But the clear coat was just gone, right?
Is that a common thing on these old trucks?
That's very common, especially on the black ones. I think the black one, like the sun comes down and the clear coat just disappears. So I had to replace one of the doors because it was bashed in. It had gotten smashed.
Yeah.
And then I went through and sanded and bondoed, and this is really my first paint job where I was really trying to do a good job.
Yeah.
If you can, you know, as a novice, but it's actually pretty decent. I'm kind of, you know,
from the right angles, you'd be, you know, convinced Dale Earnhardt Sr. drove this thing.
From the right angle, it looks like $1 million bucks. So yeah, it's something to be proud of.
Oh yeah, and so I'm seeing some standard and some definitely non-standard items. You think you might be able to tell us a little bit about what you may have modified from original stock? And
well, from the factory, it came with 454 and a 5-speed manual, which is kind of a rare thing for those two combinations because most of them were paired to an automatic, right?
Yep.
And so it had that NV 4500 manual transmission. So those were standard items, and I think it doesn't have power windows, it doesn't have power locks, it's pretty basic inside. It does have cruise control, air conditioning. Yeah, those are the two really big ones, right? Cruise control and air conditioning.
especially when they work.
And they both work.
Oh man!
Yeah, so you're gonna like that about it. But we put some bigger tires on there. These aren't standard.
No?
Yeah.
They look good.
You know where these came from?
No.
Oh, you bought them.
See, I thought you were going to be all like, really?
Yeah, so those are 285 75 16s that you bought.
Yes,
Yeah.
they came from a guy on Craigslist.
And Craigslist.
Yeah.
And you said, David, can you put that on the truck? And I said, I don't know if they fit or not. That's a big tire.
Yeah?
So I put them on, and they did rub.
Just a smidge, right?
Just a smidge. So I had to cut right here. You can kind of see this one's really darn close.
Yep.
But it does clear, and I articulated it as much as I could to make sure it cleared, and it hit just a little bit back here. So you take the grinder here and your sledgehammer there, and they fit, believe it or not.
I believe they call those powers of persuasion.
Exactly, we persuaded it. But then you'll notice the other thing that's not standard on here is this bumper. And this thing had this really cool bumper on the back that some farmer made.
Let's go check it out.
So, Dan, when I bought this truck, this bumper was completely rusted.
Oh yeah.
But I kind of fell in love with it. I thought, well, maybe I'll just take it off and put a regular bumper on. And then I realized Oh yeah, this has got a special secret compartment inside. So I took it
So much
off
room for
and I
activities.
wire brushed the whole thing,
Yep.
repainted it, put more bolts, because the receiver is actually attached to the bumper. It's welded on. So I put a new receiver in there, re-welded it, put some plate. I put 8 bolts, grade 8 bolt,
Yep.
to hold it on. And I think it should carry your trailer pretty well.
Well, I believe these trucks were rated for 10,000 pounds.
Really?
With
That
its
much?
combination, yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, I have to have done an insane amount of research. I mean, once I get something, I kind of go borderline, there's OCD.
Now you were a Ford guy before you traded Ford.
Now my dad, he is a full-on GM man. Next month my dad's coming to see me, and I intend to take him up to Charlotte to the NASCAR Hall of Fame, and we're gonna go ride in this truck.
Ah, sweet.
So this truck's
So
gonna
now
see
how did you end up a Ford guy?
Bigfoot.
Oh, Bigfoot,
The
really?
monster truck.
No kidding.
Yeah, like age 2. It's like, yep, I'm hooked.
Well,
So
I'm glad I mean, I know you had a Dodge because the reason you're here is because you're trading with me, right?
Maybe that one that looks a whole
Yeah,
lot
maybe
better
that
when
one
I
over
dropped
there.
it off.
But so you went Ford, Dodge, and now you got a GM.
Believe it or not, I've actually owned a GM before.
Oh, have you?
My first truck was a 1993 GMC K1500 with a 4.3
Nice.
and a 4L60E, which was the
good.
first year for the 4L60E.
Yeah.
And in a matter of, I think, 6 months, the transmission blew out completely. It went to all neutrals,
Yep.
which is great if you want to just tow it behind, but I needed a truck, so not so much. And you'll love this. The O2 sensor shot out of the exhaust driving
So
down
is
the
that
road.
what converted you to Ford?
That was reaffirmed my decision in Ford. It was garbage, but this is not. This is far from it. So this is the truck I should have gotten in high school.
Well, it does make a difference in what drivetrain you get. That's for sure. And we know that, you know, the 454 has been around a long time and it does well. And of course the throttle body fuel injection is bulletproof.
Simple.
Even though it's not the greatest on fuel mileage, it is bulletproof.
So would you say the engineers actually stuck to KISS?
Well, they definitely, on this model, I think the 90s model, that was what's so great about GM for so long, is it was simple. Keep it simple, stupid. And they did keep it simple. And I can rant about what's going on now, but they ain't simple anymore. And that's why I still like these old ones.
It's not just GM, it's
Everybody.
But, you know, for a 92, this sure does look pretty good. You must have had your hands on it too.
Well, no, one of the reasons I bought it is because it was actually in pretty decent shape other than just caked with dirt. I had to look through all the dirt.
That just means it was well preserved.
It was well preserved, although it did have a cracked dash.
Okay.
The vinyl floor, those things last forever. Awesome. And the seat was decent. I did put a seat cover on it because there's one little, you know, open spot on the driver's side over there. But the dash was in great shape. Everything worked in it. So I just took my little scrubby, I pulled all the plastic off, took the seat out, took the seat belts out, took all the plastic, took the headliner out, and just worked for hours in the middle of the winter. This is a nice project in the winter, right?
Oh yeah.
And I just
especially
cleaned and scraped and got my elbow grease on everything, and it came out pretty good. And I've used it quite a bit, so it's a little bit dirty again, but
you get that nice
put a new
nice
headliner
garage.
in there.
I believe you had a way of describing that before. What'd you call that?
Well, it's like a cowboy in a tuxedo. Is the way I looked at. But I did put it in, and it's kind of loose in just that one spot over there. I don't know if you can see it. My glue didn't stick. But hey, I did the best I could.
Do.
Cool.
But it's got a new dash cover and still allows the speakers to work. But everything works. Deck doesn't work. I'm sorry. I forgot to tell you about that. Tape deck doesn't work. But, you know, you'll just
That's
have
okay. I've come up with a plan B.
Have you? All right, Dan. So I've replaced the headliner.
First off, I didn't know what Paisley is, so I was thinking all of a sudden I was going to get a country singer in a headlight. You see that little doodad thing right there in the lighter there? Well, that takes some power and gives you power for your phone or whatever other device you want to. And then you Bluetooth from your phone or your device to that, and then it plays it right through the radio station. Just tool on down the road. But if you get any interference, well, You just changed the station and what you tuned into. Yeah, okay. Yeah, bleep bloop on the internet machine.
Okay, guys.
Ready?
Yes.
All right, so here's where the business end of the truck is. And as you know, I'm a big 454 fan. I don't know why, I just am, because that's the first brand new GM vehicle I bought all myself with my own money. I got a 454 and I've been stuck on them ever since. But you know, it's throttle body. It's the only issue it had is it has 161,000 on it when I bought it.
Really?
Right?
You should know. That's 141.
No, 141.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's redo that one. It has 141,000 miles on it, but it had I could tell it had a miss on it, and I was a little concerned it might be a skid or it might be something. So I diagnosed it. It was the distributor.
Yeah.
So the distributor was so worn out, the assembly that goes down into the back of the 454 was so worn out that it no longer was timed right? So I replaced the whole distributor assembly, the wires, the spark plugs. I went ahead and replaced the oxygen sensor. I replaced air filter, fuel filter, oil filter, new oil, new power steering fluid. What else?
Wires and tires and antifreeze and accessories. Well, honey,
tires.
that's
I've checked all the fluids for you. So I'm not going to guarantee you're going to make it to Georgia, but you got a pretty good chance of making it.
I got a backup on the back.
Well, that is not a good thing about towing your own vehicle.
So now that we've gone through this truck, well, I'd say with a fine-tooth comb, what do you think is better? Do you think it's better to go out and get yourself a nice, big, flashy truck? Or do you spend the time and find a good project and get an old truck running again?
Well, back to our KISS moment, right?
Yeah.
Our keep it simple, stupid. It's better to go find a truck that has all the right bones. Make sure it's just not completely beat up or rusted up or, you know, run with no maintenance. If you start with the right base truck and you got to have an eye for it, I think you can do okay. I mean, this one, the body was pretty straight except for the door. So I replaced the door from, you know, one that was from a junkyard.
Yeah.
Put a little Bondo on the little nicks and everything, diagnosed what was wrong with the motor, and realized that it was in good shape. And you know, you can, I think, so I went up and bought it for 2,500 bucks. And the guy had, I knew it was a good deal when I got it. He had like 20 calls on it. And I was one of the first ones to call, and I was the first one to come up and look at it because he lived almost to the Wyoming border.
Right.
And so he got there and he says, man, I've had so much interest in this truck. And I said, yeah, I know, because it's kind of rare. I said, so I bought it for 2,500 bucks cash on the spot. And I drove it home. It drove home fine. And then I spent, you know, I think I spent another $1,500 on just parts, on, you know, the distributor and filters and oil and sensors. And I cleaned it. It had a lot of mud underneath it. The paint was about 400 bucks plus all the, you know, tape and everything. So about $600 on painting it. But the real expense is time, right? I mean, I spent probably, I don't know, 2 weeks in the shop in the middle of winter. It's nice because I got a shop I can pull it into and just work on it. But
let's say someone doesn't have that capability. Is it still worth it for someone to do what they can mechanically maybe and get someone else to kind of fix it up body-wise?
Yeah, I mean, the paint though is so expensive to pay somebody to paint anymore. So if you're not up for painting something and it's pretty well beat on the outside, I'd say you're probably better off looking for paying more for a truck that it's been in somebody's garage than someone that's been sitting out on the farm for, you know, years and years and years. Painting's not easy, but it's satisfying to me. It was one of the most satisfying parts about building this truck was painting it. And I don't know why, some people hate paint, but after I painted it, I thought that was a lot of fun. So I've got maybe, I think with all, maybe $4,500 in the truck total.
That's not bad.
And that includes the tires that you bought $500 worth of used tires that we put on there. And I painted up those wheels for you.
Awesome.
And so, yeah, I mean, it's going to be a truck that has working air conditioning and cruise control, and everything else works.
Especially for Georgia, where it's nothing but 55-mile-an-hour back roads and
Exactly.
it's hot.
Right. If you don't have to go 80 miles an hour all the time, this is a good truck to have.
Oh, yeah.
At 60 miles an hour, this is great. And it'll get decent mileage. It'll get probably 13, 14, you know, but you can pull something.
Yeah.
And it's reliable, parts are cheap. That's what I love about them. I don't know why, you know, I keep sticking with them, but I think that's what it is I can change the alternator. I can change the starter. They're cheap, and that makes it for a good pickup that you can keep for a long time.
Outstanding. Square now, or do I have to pay you behind the counter like we talked about that one time?
So Dan, I made the decision a long time ago not to go in debt for a vehicle. I think I was in my late 20s, the last vehicle I went into debt for. And that has been some of the best decisions in my life, because getting strapped with debt, just like, it sucks.
Yeah.
It's like the freedom to be able to not have that payment and have a dependable vehicle, you know? Yeah, maybe I could get 5, 10 miles to the gallon better, but you do the math, an old dependable vehicle that gets decent mileage, not great mileage, but no payment. I mean, shoot, the insurance is cheaper, no payments. I think it's a win-win. I mean, that's just my philosophy. You guys might disagree with it, but that's kind of what I've learned over my 58 years of life, that don't get in debt for a car.
Well, David, thank you again for everything that you've done to this truck. I was ecstatic to be able to get this for the price of a trade and a little bit of bartering. It really, truly, I mean, I'm sure there's going to be some folks that are peanut butter and jelly that they couldn't get their hands on this. But again, thank you for coming on and talking about this with us. It's, I mean, for an example of what a truck can be when someone just gives a little love back into it.
Yeah.
We really appreciate your time, sir.
Oh, my pleasure. And I have to tell you, I'm super excited about the trade we've made, because not only am I a GM fan of the old GMs, I'm a Cummins fan.
Oh, yeah?
Yep, and that's what we're trading for.
With MrTruck here with a really exciting trailer accessory. You know, trailer tires is a big deal. You got problems, especially 100-degree weather like we're having this year. You know, you're gonna blow tires, and the tires are gonna blow, take out your fender, take out your clearance lights, and then you're gonna sit there on the side of the road fixing your tire while your horses get hot. Sun coming down 100 degrees, no doors open and no fan. It's horrible. And I see it happen all the time, and so I go to Higher Ply Tires and I go to Tucson Tire Pressure Monitoring System. They got so many options. You can go with bands on the Alcoa wheels, that's such a small hole. You can go with the tire pressure monitoring, where you have a valve stem and the relay below it, the transmitter. And then you can do the same transmitter on a band. And now the new one, I call them Spaceballs, but they're actually tire pressure monitoring from Tucson ball sensors, like a ping pong ball, rubber coated, and you put this in your tire. You crack open the bead, throw it in there, and it bounces around, goes right for a little while, and then once you get up to speed, it just sticks to wherever it's at. You know ahead of time what's going on. This gives you special alerts. Before, if the tire pressure is too high, it goes off, beeps and flashes. Too low, it beeps and flashes. Same way with heat. And this will save you a lot of money. You know, the price of a tire will pay for one of these puppies. And why would you not want to know what's going on with the trailer tires?